Did you know Adam Wingard is actually the second person to have directed both a Godzilla movie and a Death Note movie? The other one is Shusuke Kaneko. Also, Wingard was originally attached to direct Skull Island back when it was still going to be a direct sequel of the 2005 King Kong movie. This isn't important to the review, I just thought it was neat information. Godzilla King of the Monsters was a fluke. Lost a ton of money and made Warner and Legendary enter damage control mode for the sequel that had just entered post-production. The next year and change would be extremely painful for everyone involved in Godzilla vs. Kong, as they tried to make their pretty much finished product both cheaper and more streamlined, as per the demands of their corporate overlords. And guys, I hate saying this, but I think the Corpos were right. This movie is probably better than it would have been had they not interfered. I mean, yeah, this movie feels rushed and has other pacing problems, thanks to the trouble post-production. But as far as the story goes, I don't think it is lacking anything. If the reports of what was left on the cutting floor are true, and they most likely are, they excise everything that would have unnecessarily contrived the plot. Read human drama and a convoluted twist in which the villain gets betrayed by his second in command, who then becomes the main villain. Trust me, it was all unnecessary. Oh, actually they did leave out a very important detail out of the movie, which is why this dude has the same last name as Ken Watanabe's character from the previous films. The reason is because they are father and son. As far as I know, this is irrelevant to the film itself, but at least I can sleep peacefully now knowing the writers aren't just dumb. The only marginally interesting thing that was left out was the fact Apex was intentionally inciting Godzilla into attacking cities as to better validate their MechaGodzilla, using this thingy, I presume. But again, insignificant loss. The villain's plan in the final product works perfectly fine without this one step. And that's it, the only major changes came plot-wise, the action was pretty much left intact, which is odd considering Warner wanted to cut down the final cost of the movie. Finishing the human subplot would cost much less than doing the same with these set pieces, but hey, I'm not complaining. Because I really doubt subplots involving PTSD and depression-driven alcoholism would have jived well with Godzilla shooting a hole into the center of the earth, or the reveal of a somewhat advanced underground society of giant apes. The changes made guaranteed the movie avoided its predecessor's biggest mistake by bogging itself down in self-seriousness, focusing instead on the fun of the genre, employing incredibly silly storytelling to justify its crazy over-the-top action. And the action is definitely there. I mean, it's several steps above what we have previously seen, at least in the Godzilla movies, and I'm not just talking about the fact we now can actually see what's happening on screen. The action is better constructed this time around. Kong and Godzilla's first encounter at the sea in particular is probably the highlight not only of this movie but also from this whole series. The whole scene feels grounded in the sense that it feels like it takes place in a real space, which is a rare sight in this kind of movie. Godzilla rams through a ship and drags it across the water. He capsizes Kong's ship. Kong is chained to the ship and almost drowns. Kong hops from ship to ship. Kong grabs a jet and throws it at Godzilla. Godzilla blows the ship with Kong on top. Godzilla grabs Kong and takes him underwater. They shoot depth charges to aid Kong. You see how half of the sequence's actions could only happen because they are fighting on top of ships in the middle of the ocean. Usually it would make zero difference if they were fighting in the middle of a city or on a blank sheet of paper. That alone is enough to put this fight in the top 10 fights of the entire Godzilla franchise. And the rest of the movie is... it's alright. It's not bad, but it never quite reaches the same level of this scene. The Hong Kong fight is fun, but it feels Kong does all the cool stuff, jumping on top of buildings while Goji tries to hit him. And it's not like we've never seen a better giant monsters versus humanoid fight also set in Hong Kong. But it does the trick. The MechaGodzilla fight on the other hand, take what I just said about Godzilla and make it double. Not only are they already fighting on top of the rubbles of the city, basically a blank sheet of paper, MechaGodzilla has more or less the same moveset as Goji, plus rockets. and this must be Special Rocket since they usually don't do shit against him. It's not bad, it's just underwhelming. I think just fine is the term. Yeah, it was just fine. People seem to like it at least. It made considerably more money than King of the Monsters, that's for sure. And that was in the middle of a pandemic, with the film having been released simultaneously on HBO Max. Of course, there wasn't anything else in theaters at the time, so who knows how well the film would have performed in a normal situation. But you know, it surely made Warner breathe relief for a change. Still, that didn't seem to have been enough to guarantee the future of the franchise, which still hangs in the balance.
Hey, it's me from the future. So, just as I was editing this video, Legendary confirmed there will be a Godzilla TV show set in the Monsterverse. That being the case, feel free to ignore some of the stuff I say from this point forward, okay?
Most of this apathy towards the Monsterverse is certainly because it failed to generate the amount of enthusiasm everyone was expecting, with both general audiences and critics feeling pretty iffy towards the whole experiment. And it wasn't for nothing, I must say. These movies don't do anything exceptionally well, neither in a standalone sense, nor when compared with the rest of the Godzilla franchise, as they basically recycle the same stuff we've seen a million times already through the series' 70 years run, only now with a blockbuster coat of paint on top of it. To add insult to injury, at the same time Warner and Legendary were running around in circles, Toho gave us some actually pretty new and exciting takes on their ancient franchise, with the likes of Shin Godzilla, Singular Point, and even the Netflix trilogy actually trying new ideas for a character older than most of its audience. But that was in Japan. Back in the US, they were repeating all the same mistakes Toho did time and time again, pumping out mediocre movies at an unsustainably fast speed. You can only do it for so long before everything starts falling apart. I'm glad Godzilla vs. Kong exists, and I'm thankful Legendary went through the trouble of making it happen. But when I think about the road we took to get here and the overall quality of the final product, I really start questioning if it was worth the investment. Will we ever see Godzilla and Kong together again in the big screen? Probably, even if it takes another 60 years. But I doubt this time around it will be under the Monsterverse banner. For now, let's do like these two old men and go back to sleep, contemplating why the hell did we even bother going out of bed to begin with. Until next time.